Hey guys, first I just want to say thanks to everyone who has been following my playthrough, commenting, subscribing, etc. I am really glad there are so many people enjoying this, certainly more than I expected when I set out to try my hand at this sort of thing. I read all of what you guys have been saying, and I appreciate the kind words, and even the advice to help me, avoid some of the less than skilled things I've done. And I know, I probably should have upgraded anything by now, for those of you who have all been commenting on that. Anyway, with that said, on to what I've done recently here in the next few videos. So this past weekend I had my brother over with the idea that we would have a sort of co-op marathon, like in the same room, you know, with us just seeing exactly what we were both going to be doing. But much to my disappointment, I found the hard way that it's nearly impossible to join and play with a friend like this, like you could in Demon Souls. Apparently, in this game, when you join, you get put onto one of many random servers that makes it nearly impossible to join a specific person. In finding out about this, I learned that this is the reason it seems so much harder to get summoned, be summoned, or be invaded in this game as compared to Demon Souls. Some people, I've been reading on some various forums, and some people are concerned with these issues, some aren't. Personally, I don't think the worries are for nothing, and hopefully there are some future patches that address these issues. If I recall correctly, From Software has been great with supporting Demon Souls, but I'm not sure how much of this is also Atlas's support of Demon Souls. Atlas, in my experience, has always done an amazing job localizing and providing support. This time, though, of course, you know, Namco brought us the game Dark Souls, and I don't know if Namco is as competent as Atlas, that sort of thing, but not to say they've done a bad job, not to disparage them, and of course, despite any online issues, this is still an amazing game. So, to get past that, since my attempt at a co-op with my brother ended as a failure, we played together, and because of the situation and kind of all the stuff that was happening, I didn't end up commenting live, well, as I was playing. So I do apologize for this, and you know, to make up for this, I'm of course adding this post-commentary here. I don't intend to comment on every last bit of what I did in these videos, because I don't personally just want to sit here for over an hour talking about things I did in the game, and it's kind of hard to do, really. It's much easier to just talk as it comes to me, and I can't really remember every little thing I was thinking when I played. Fortunately, this only lasts for 4 videos, including this one, number 56 to 59, and I'm going to try to make up for it in some little ways, and hopefully the content of the videos themselves makes up for it. In this video, I fight a big sub-boss, as you can probably see in the background right now. You probably know who it is if you played the game yourself. I guess I'll wait a second and let you see what it is. It's pretty obvious, though. In the next video, I fight a fairly challenging, non-respawning, I guess, I don't know if they're considered sub-bosses or I don't know what they're, just these challenging, non-respawning type named character. I think there's only one of this guy. He has a name. He's a humanoid type character. So I fought this guy in video number 57, and the next video, and quite embarrassingly, I have some trouble with him. My excuse is, since I was playing with my brother at the same time, I was commonly looking over at what he was doing and talking to him while I was playing. So you might notice in these 4 videos here, I actually die a fair amount, because I was much more aggressive than usual, and I was not paying attention a lot. There were some other distractions going on in the play environment, usual, but enough excuses. You'll see that in number 57 and number 58, I kind of explore a bit of a new area and it's, you know, it's basically the deeper into this dark root garden slash forest area. I don't know what it's officially called. And in 59, in video 59, I fight a really interesting boss. Probably in my opinion, the coolest boss I fought so far, and I think it's even, in terms of compared to all the Demon Souls bosses, I think it's one of the more epic fights as far as any of the boss battles go, so it's really cool, and you can look forward to that. Also of note, today, which is post-recording of these videos, I bought the official Dark Souls hardcover guide. I still intend to play the game mostly blind. I did not buy this to spoil the game for myself, or to learn how to beat enemies, or because the game's too hard. After reading the reviews for the guide, it sounded like a really nice book, and I just wanted to make sure that I picked one up, owned one for myself in case they were to become impossible to find in the future. My other thought was that I did use the little guide that came with Demon Souls originally, not so much for the strategy or walkthrough aspect, but for the details on the equipment and items and some of the other little secrets which are very hard to figure out on your own. So what I've done with the guide so far after I bought it today was I just kind of flipped through and I looked at a lot of the weapons and armor and in the equipment section. I was seeing if there was anything in particular, you know, that I wanted to go out of my way to find or buy, etc. You know, the fact that I've completely shut myself off from any form of guides or looking stuff up has kind of resulted in me maybe being a little weaker, a little more ignorant of what I should be doing or what I could be wielding at the point in the game I'm in. So in future videos I'll probably make mention of items that I'm looking for based on this research in the guide. Aside from looking at these item type things for fun, I am also reading about enemies that I have essentially already, you know, figured out or conquered, if you will. And I'm just kind of seeing what kind of things they drop and just kind of flipping through and reading the stats and drops and everything for fun. It's pretty interesting to see that there are very many enemies. There's a number of enemies with, like, they just seem like they have cool drops. Like, most of the enemies in this game have a handful of drops, and it seems like a lot of the drops are just very rare. Like, the guide has a rarity classification system from, like, you know, like just your letters, like S, A, B, C, you know, and a lot of the things they drop are really rare. So most people will probably never get most of the things enemies drop unless, you know, they play the game more than once, or they happen to have tons of humanity at the time and just get lucky, because holding humanity, again, it increases your item discovery rate, and there's like a table for that in this guide, and I actually kind of looked that up on the Wikipedia earlier. I've never really had more than a couple of humanity, so it's not really helping me. Apparently there's also a ring you can find, which just gives you like 300 item discovery, which is like 3 times your normal 100. Anyways, with all that said, I didn't do a live commentary while I played this video and the next 3, so for fun, I might kind of go through while I'm fighting some of these random enemies. Well, not might, I will. I'll go through and I'm just gonna like kind of read from my guide. I'm just gonna like read the description and the strategies for some of these enemies. And again, this is for enemies that I'm going to beat, or I am beating in the video. If it's an enemy I don't figure out how to beat, I'm not gonna look it up in the guide, so I'm not gonna really see. But this is just sort of for entertainment purposes for anyone who's listening, and I don't know how many of you do more listening than watching, you know, maybe while you're multitasking, because otherwise these videos would be pretty boring if I don't talk very much. So anyways, with that said, I'll just read some of the descriptions for these enemies. Before I do that though, one final comment. I did more editing than I expected to in these videos, mainly because I was trying to cut down on a lot of the downtime. that would normally at least be me talking and saying something, anything, even if it's not that interesting. Well, anyways, hopefully you find that the pace of the action from the editing makes up a little bit for the lack of my usual commentary in these videos. And also, if you find yourself enjoying this post commentary more than my normal live commentary, don't get too used to it, because this does take a significant amount of more time and effort than just saying random stuff while I'm playing. With that said, I will mostly not be talking now, except when I fight some interesting enemy, and then I'll read about it. So please enjoy, and I apologize for this difference in the videos. So here you can see I'm finally going to take on the Herculean task of fighting the Hydra. This creature is actually, to my surprise, it wasn't as difficult as it looks like it's going to be. It looks pretty intimidating. Watching some of my earlier videos, I saw it off the distance and just blew my life, but it's really a pretty simple fight. As for the ideal way to fight it, I wasn't sure at the time. Basically, I was just, as you'll see, moving back and forth and kind of switching it between its water attack and its head's attack, where all the heads kind of plunge at you. And I don't even think there's really any reason, though, to do what I was doing. Switch between having it do its water attacks and the head attack. I guess my thought was I wanted to have a little bit of time for stamina recovery, and I was afraid if I let it do the head attack thing twice in a row, I might not have enough stamina and die. With that said, I'm going to read the strategy section of my guide here. It says, the Hydra is a huge, intimidating beast that you will encounter twice in the game. In both instances, the Hydra will have a large body of water. Either in the Darkwood Basin or Ash Lake. There's always a pitfall around the Hydra, so don't try to wade straight to the water. Or get to it if you wish to fight it at close range. As soon as it spots you, it will slowly inch its way closer, so wait for it to do so. Luckily, my brother had actually warned me of the pitfall. I might not have noticed it, because it's kind of hard to notice, but it's just a sheer cliff drop off the water. I'm assuming that's an instant death, of course. Didn't happen to me. The Hydra's main form of attack will be its water cannon attack, and a huge burst of all its heads in your direction. The multiple projectiles mean this attack is a very large area of effect, and if you hit by one of them, you are almost certain to take additional hits, so watch their trajectory and evade them early. The heads can either attack in a concentrated area or this has a poor hitbox and is easy to avoid, and gives you a great opportunity to attack while it's recovering. Use this chance to lop them off. Magical attacks are quite effective against the Hydra, giving the luxury of being able to hit it without wading into the water. Fighting at close range task, it actually has no close range attacks to hit you with, so you can hack away without serious repercussions. Interestingly enough, gives a name to all attacks. I don't know if this was just something they made up, but its head strikes 495 damage, so I guess that's a pretty good amount. That's probably like, what's my health, like 7 hours or something right now. Concentrated head strikes, 495, base strength, so that's a typo. 550 physical, Interestingly enough, the guide tells you whether or not you can, it gives you the carry it. It's a category called tracking, which is kind of like which way the attack will follow you and still hit you if you try to avoid it. The head strikes, both it says there's no tracking on them. This is like when some enemies try to sidestep them and their sword attack will still hit you anyway. It gives them all medium categories. The item drops, and next to the item drops, you always get it. In this guide, that's what that means. You get a dragon scale, which is primarily, I think, used for crafting. I'm pretty sure you can combine, you can have a dragon scale and like 1,000 or I think it's 10,000 souls maybe, and that's what it takes to upgrade the Drake scale, Drake sword once, I think. I haven't done it, so I'm not sure. You also get a, it's saying here, Dust Crown Ring. Oh yes, that's what it's saying. Darkroot Garden has next to its name because it's in these two hydras. So only from this hydra that I'm fighting here is the Dust Crown Ring. I don't remember exactly what it does, but I do have it. Just looking back up at the video now, I'm pretty close to beating this boss. Interestingly, the last head that I left last is pretty difficult to kill, at least it was for me. Maybe not so much if you have good range or magic. It kind of, it sweeps across in a pattern. It might be hard to do this in the video, but it's actually like pretty much always above the abyss, so it's really hard to walk close to it. It ends up giving me a good amount of trouble. I spent a time, I mean it wasn't a threat, but I didn't want to step into the abyss, so I took a while killing it. I ended up cutting most of that out though. And that is all what I will say on the Hydra. Oh, except one thing. You're probably wondering what the point of fighting the Hydra is. Like if you don't want to, for example. Since it just gives you a ring, and I guess some souls. It gives you 10,000 souls to be exact, according to the guy. I didn't remember that, but that's true. Apparently there is a ladder to its left, from what you can see right now. I didn't try to go up the ladder before killing the Hydra, but according to my brother, it will shoot you down off the ladder with its water blaster. I don't know if it's possible to make it up the ladder if you're still young, but I didn't try it. Apparently the heads can be cut. This is 270. I guess it seemed to me like it took 2 hits to kill each of them, but I'm not sure. The next time I'll be fighting commentary is at the beginning of the next video, so I will talk to you then.